All right. Again, we are officially back in business here on the Reed Report. I appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out. Got a lot of catching up to do on things that has happened. So yeah, just bear with me as today I wanted to touch on first the Derek Carr situation. He's a free agent. And there's some suitors out there. He did say yesterday, or I don't know if he quoted it, but I saw the headline that the process will be a long process, something along those lines. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But the main thing I wanted to touch on was the Eric Bieniemy situation. We're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. Going to do both of those in this video here on the Reed Report. And yeah, let's just kick things off with Derek Carr because Derek Carr is, officially a free agent, ending his nine year stint with the Raiders, who were once Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas. Been in Las Vegas since 2020. Carr was the second. He was a second round, 36 overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft. 4-time, made it to the Pro Bowl 4 times. Finished as the Raiders' all-time leader in passing yards with 35,222 and touchdown leader as well with 217. Second most wins in franchise history with 63, and he was of course he was an MVP candidate in 2016 when the team made the playoffs. They made the playoffs just twice since he was there in his 9 years there. 2016. And what was it last year, 2021, the only 2 times yet to win a playoff game. In fact, in 2016, he actually got injured, I think somewhere towards the end of the regular season. So he didn't even play in that playoff game, but he led them to the playoffs. So we'll give him credit for that. But Carr is now looking for a new home. And as a Panthers fan, I'm in. I'm not going to say all in. I'm in if we can't trade up in the draft to get one of those top quarterbacks. So I'm not all in, but I'm in on Derek Carr. I do think he will end up, in my opinion, in the NFC South. If not Carolina, I think it'll be Tampa Bay, maybe New Orleans, maybe. But I think it'll be Tampa Bay if it's not Carolina. Jets, Colts, Washington, Buccaneers, Panthers, maybe the Saints, maybe. It'll definitely be one of those teams, though. It'll definitely be one of those teams. I think Carr, but in terms of him being released, I just think he needed a change of scenery because he definitely can help a team like the Bucs, who still have talent around them, such as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, the Jets, who were in a prime position to potentially be a playoff team. Also, the New York Jets, and then there's the Carolina Panthers. I think he can help those teams who are in position to win. He can help them for sure. I know a lot of people are scoffed at the notion of the Panthers being a team that's in a position to win, but I definitely think they can. If not Super Bowl, they're definitely a playoff team. They're just missing a quarterback. I think Frank Rich and the coaching staff he surrounded himself with, I think he was the right guy for the job. I know that a lot of people were devastated that I can't believe I forgot his name, and he almost led us to the playoffs. And I am blanking on his name. I'm not going to move until I remember this brother's name. Steve Wilkes. That was his name, right? Wow. Shame on me. But anyway, Anyway, I think the Panthers defensively they've already always had a identity on defense throughout the history of the franchise, especially through our recent years. Even last season in 2021, when they won just 5 games, they were still I think the second or third ranked defense. I think defensively they'll be fine, but offense is where they need to get innovative, where they need to get creative, and where they need to make things happen, because that team was just, it's a mess on offense. Like I said, things got better down the stretch, but I think Frank Rich is the best guy for the job. So I'm all in for that. I'm not against that at all. I know a lot of people bummed out about Wilkes, but I think he can only carry them so far with just being a defensive guy. I think offense is where they really need that identity the most. So we'll see what happens with Derek Carr, though. We'll see what ends up there. Like you said, it's going to be a process, so we'll be sure to update you here on the Reed Report with whatever happens there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Ever since 2018, when Patrick Mahomes won MVP by tossing 50 touchdowns and throwing for over 5,000 yards that season, Eric Bieniemy has been in talks for a head coaching job, but 5 years later, here in 2023, he still hasn't landed a top coaching position in the NFL. Shady McCoy recently, he came out and shared his thoughts on the situation, and something stood out to me, when he was giving his take. He talked about Bieniemy not being the type of guy that ingratiates himself with players, and how he's not leading meetings. We always hear about Bieniemy being this innovative guy on offense, and of course we want him to succeed. But my thing is, I can believe what people are saying. We also heard about, in like a couple years ago or so, it's like I said, it's been 5 years, on how he's not a great interviewer. He's not great interviewee or whatever. He's not great at being interviewed. He doesn't give great interviews. So when you, depending on the type of things that are being asked in those interviews, what Shady McCoy said was that, he doesn't ingratiate himself with players. And I think that is a key thing when you are being interviewed, because you are being asked to lead men who are making way more money than you and who have egos that are just massive. So you're going to have to find a way to command that type of locker room. So it's not far-fetched for me to not believe Shady McCoy. I do think he's credible, and of course he's going to be attacked by the woke mob or people who just wants to throw the race card in it. So those things are going to happen. But another thing is, because Andy Reid is a guy who we know that can coach this game. He's been around for a long time. There are some guys who hide themselves behind their coordinators, but Andy Reid isn't one of those guys. With that said, I'm glad Bieniemy is now in Washington as the offensive coordinator. The Commanders finished 20th in offense back in 2022. This past season, they were 21st in 2021, 30th in 2020, 31st in 2019, 28th in 2018, 16th in 2017, but they were 3rd in 2016. Point is, they haven't been good on that side of the ball, meaning offense, in a very long time. So if Bieniemy is who they say he is, this is the perfect fit for him, because we know what Ron Rivera can do on defense. Their defense was 3rd in 2022. Not sure what happened in 2021. They were down towards the middle of the pack, but they were 2nd in 2020 under Rivera, and we know what he did in Carolina with their defense. They were consistently, like I just mentioned in the Derek Carr story, the Panthers has always had an identity on defense. They've never been the Denver Broncos of 2015 type, or the Smash Mouth Ravens or 85 Bears, but they've always had a really solid defense. But here now in Washington, I say let Bieniemy run the offensive meetings, which I think he will, and because he's also the assistant to the head coach. I believe that was his title. So I think he's second in command now. But let him run the offensive meetings and prove that he was that guy in KC. Again, I'm rooting for him. I'm not rooting against him, because what reason would I have to root against him? I don't think anyone, I won't say anyone, but I don't think there are a lot of people that are rooting against this guy. I just have a hard time believing that he was solely responsible. Not solely, but that he had this big impact on the Chiefs offense during his 5 years as the offensive coordinator. Again, not rooting against him, because, my thing is, what other reason is it that he hasn't gotten a coaching job with his offense finishing at the top of the league every season since 2018 with him as offensive coordinator? They were first in 2018, sixth in 2019, not to mention they won the Super Bowl that season, first again in 2020, made it to the Super Bowl, third in 2021, and first this past season in 2022. So 3 number 1 ranked offenses in 5 seasons. And I also like to point out that, while Alex Smith was the starting quarterback from 2013 to 2017, they were a top 5 offense once, and that was in 2017, Smith's final season as the Chiefs' starting quarterback, and before Bieniemy took over as the offensive coordinator. They were 20th in 2013, that is the Kansas City Chiefs on offense, 25th in 2014, 26th in 2015, 20th in 2016, and like I just said, 5th in 2017. But we see the difference here with Mahomes as a starting quarterback over the last 5 seasons. We see the difference. Now, because when Reed had McNabb and Vic in Philly, they were never ranked as low as when Reed had game managing quarterback Alex Smith. They were never ranked that low. So that was just who Alex Smith was, a guy who wasn't going to take the risk. And we saw the lack of success they had in the postseason, because since Andy Reid has been there, they've never had a losing season. They missed the playoffs, I think, just once, and that was 2014. But they never had a losing season. But I don't think how many playoff games did they win? 2013, they blew that playoff wild card game against the Colts. 2014, like I said, didn't make the playoffs. 2015, they did beat Houston and lost to New England in the divisional round. 2016, got the bye week. I think they were the 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken, and they lost to the Steelers in the divisional round. 2017, lost to the Titans in the wild card round. Mahomes get there, they make it to the AFC Championship and Super Bowls, and they've been doing that ever since Mahomes has been there. So that's why it's difficult to buy Bieniemy as the guy. But again, let's see how he changed life with Washington. I think they have the pieces. Go get a solid QB that can hold it down for 17 games. Tyler Heineke, he'll bring some spark every now and then, but eventually he will flame out. He's a legit backup in this league. Go get a guy like a Derek Carr, because I just can't throw race at this when I see these type of numbers. And when someone credible, in my opinion, like Shady McCoy says what he says, I just can't throw race at everything. You can't. So there has to be another reason. There has to be some credibility to what the word is about him. Of course, people are going to call people like Shady a sellout and things like that, but hey, it is what it is. He is in Washington now. He doesn't have Patrick Mahomes. There's, the head coach there is a defensive-minded coach. So let's see what happens with the Commanders in 2023. Let's see what happens, because like I said, they got some solid pieces out there. They got enough to get some things going on offense. But we'll leave it there with that. Appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will talk soon. We out.